In this tutorial, we are going to discuss about how to create a small Android application with a simple button click, and when you click the button, you are going to change the text. So we are going to do that in Android Studio using the Kotlin programming language. So we will select the empty activity first, then click Next. I will name the project as simple button click. Then click Finish. Then as you can see, behind the scene it's building the project using Gradle, and it will take some time depending on your processor. So the recommended processor is Core i5, and if you have a RAM of 8 GB, that will be enough to run the Android emulator without any issue. So we are waiting until the project builds. Now the project has loaded. As you can see, there are no processes running in the background. Now you can start developing the Android application. So here you can see there are two files already opened on the project, which is activity main XML and main activity.kotlin file. So here we do the user interface development, and here we write the code that handles the user interactions and give the output. Now let's say if you accidentally closed these files, and you need to make sure that you can find these files from your project directory. So we'll close them. Here you can see we have the app directory. Under that we have the Java folder. I will bring another tutorial on what are the other files are. Until then, we will just explore what are the files that are needed for this project. So you can see this first folder, it contains the main activity Kotlin file where you can write the code for user interaction and for the output. Then you need to find the UI related file, and it can be found under the RES folder, which is shortened for resources, and under that you can find the layout folder. There you can open the activity main XML file. Right. Now I am going to enter the user interface components that I want to develop this application. Now we'll remove this one first. As I told you at the beginning, we are going to create a simple application with a button. When you click the button, there will be some message displayed. Right. So for that, we need two UI components. First one is a text view to display the message, then a button to handle the user input. So we'll place the component on the screen. Then we'll add a button as well. Right. Now at the moment, if I run the program, all the UI components will be appearing at the default level. So here this is a constraint layout. There are several other layouts as well. I will conduct another tutorial about layouts. So to start with, I can center this component by clicking the component, and you can, from here, you can simply click this icon and select horizontally. So this will center the component horizontally. Then for this component also I will do the same. I will click horizontally. Right. Now in order to place a component, in order to place a UI component on the screen, you have to place that component in the horizontal direction and the vertical direction. Now at the moment we have placed all our components in the horizontal directions. Now we are going to place them vertically on the screen. So for that, we can simply select the component, and from the layout we can select this plus button. So what will this button do is, when you click that, it will create a constraint to the nearest boundary. So when I click this button and click the plus button, you can see it has created the constraint line to the top edge of this screen. Then this button, when I click this plus icon, now it's not going to create the constraint line with the top boundary of the screen, but it will take the nearest edge that is possible. It is actually this text view's bottom line. Now all our components are placed on our screen. I can press Ctrl A to see all the constraints that I have added to my UI component. You can see all the components that are added to the screen from the component tree view as well. Now at the moment these components are named as text view and button. We will give a proper name so that we can easily identify those components from the code. This one I will give an ID, shortened form for the text view TV, and I will say message. Then press enter, click refactor. Then this button, we will give the ID btn, click me. So I will just give the name like that. So the refactor button, actually when you click the refactor, if it is used in any place where you have used this button, when you click the refactor, it will change all the places that ID is being used. Now we need to remove the text view, text from the UI component. So from attribute section, you can find the text view here. You can simply delete it by pressing the delete key. Then button, we can't remove the text. We need to make sure that user will understand what's going to happen from this button. So what I will do is, I will simply go into the text area. You can see hard-coded string button should use string resources. So normally we will put all our text content into a file called string resources. I will quickly show that as well. Now from the RES folder, which is shortened for resources, you can simply go into the values and find the string resource file. And here you can see there's a already existing string value, which is the app name. When you are going to install the application, you can find your app from this name, right? Now for the button, we can simply duplicate this line and add another string component here, but I will show you the easiest way. So I can simply press that button or pick a resource. From this dialog box, we can click the plus button and add a string value. So we'll give a name btn click me, and we will add the resource value as click me. Then click OK. Now this is a simple UI that we have created, and when I click the button, there should be a message saying hello world. So we will do that now. So from the main activity.kotlin file, you can simply open the activity code, and here you can see the onCreate method. So here, this is one of the important methods that we have in the main activity. So basically when you call the application, when you open the application, this activity will load and this onCreate method will be invoked. So inside that, you can see there's another function that's being called, which is called setContentView. And here this is actually the ID of our user interface that we have created. So from this line, all the UI components that we have created will be available for the activity Kotlin file. So without this line, components will not be available. So basically the idea is, when you open the application, onCreate method will be called and you have the access to the UI. Now what I'm going to do is, I will create two variables to hold the objects of these two components. To start with, I will create a variable which is going to be a private variable for this class, and I'm going to create late init bar, which is actually saying the compiler that we are going to initialize those variables later. So I will use the same name for my text view, TV message, and it is going to be a text view. Then the next one will be a button btn click me. Right, now we are going to initialize these two components in the onCreate method. We cannot initialize it anywhere else. The reason is the setContentView method is actually making sure that all the UI components will be available for the user. So we'll call the TV message, call a method called findViewById. Right, now this findViewById is also another important method which gives you the access to all the components by ID. Now here we have to provide the ID. To get the ID, we are going to call a special class which is actually generated from this res folder. So that class is called R. Then you can put a period sign. Then we are actually looking for an ID now. Now here these components are, other components are, you can see layout, map, values, global. So here it's not that what you are going to select, we are going to select the ID. And when you press the period sign, you can see all the components that are created at the top level. So other ones are actually the system files with system IDs. Now I'm going to select the TV message. Now from this TV message object, I have the access to that particular text field. Then I'm going to create the btn_click_me object, calling the findViewBy method, r.id.btn_click_me. You can see these two components have been created as objects in our onCreate_view. Now I want to handle this click event. When the user click the button, I want to handle that. So for that we have a specific function that we need to call. So I will call the btn_click_me object, then press the period sign, and you can see there's a function called setOnClickListener. Code inside these parentheses will determine what will happen when the user click the button. Here what we need is to change the text of the TV message. Right. TV message.text is the attribute that we call. Then we can simply change our text. So here we will say hello. So this is a simple application that I have created. Now we will run it and you can see the output. So in order to run the program, you can simply click this play button here. The device that you will run the program, you can select it from here. Right. So here I have an emulator available and also I have the device available. So I'm going to select the device. The reason is it will be a much faster solution than running the emulator on your PC. So if you have an Android device, that will be okay at the beginning, but when you testing the application, you should follow multiple devices. For this kind of applications, we will just, since we are just practicing Android concepts, we can simply run it on your personal device. Right? So you can select this running device option, which is a new feature in the latest Android Studio version, which is Electric Eel. Now here you can see screen basically of my mobile phone. Now I'm going to run my application there. So you can see the Gradle build running. That means it's compiling at the background. So now you can see the application has installed correctly, and you can see the click me button is visible and the text is not visible. So what will happen when I click the click me button? You can see the hello world message has been popped. Right. So this is the end of this tutorial.